Good afternoon, this is Sean Golden with Golding & Golding, here to discuss the basics of which foreign assets are disclosed to the Internal Revenue Service for FATCA. This is a common question we get. It's generally not as complicated as it might seem. The IRS seems to make it way more complicated than it needs to be. FATCA is the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. FATCA came into effect about 10 years ago. It oftentimes gets confused with the FBAR, Foreign Bank and Financial Account Reporting, but that deals with FinCEN, and that's been around since around 1970. So FATCA is required for U.S. persons who have certain specified foreign financial assets. Individuals and other tax return filers will file a Form 8938 that is filed along with the tax return. It's filed at the same time as the tax return, and there is a lot of overlap with the FBAR, but they're not mutually exclusive of each other. You may have to file one, either or both forms. Okay. What are some of the common assets a person would have to report? Well, stock, let's say stock certificates and stock accounts. See, this is different from the FBAR, where it's only accounts. With 8938, you have stock certificates, other types of shares of stocks or securities, accounts with stock in it, other securities in it, all reported on Form 8938. Investment accounts and foreign life insurance, those are commonly reported on Form 8938. When it comes to the foreign life insurance, there's more common, less common, and obscure, especially when you have issues involving like ULIPs, unit-linked insurance policies. A very important aspect when you're dealing with stock and investment accounts, life insurance, things like that, is there may be overlap with other forms. 5471 for foreign corporations, 8865 for foreign partnerships, 8621 for passive foreign investment companies. Typically, you don't have to double file multiple forms for the same asset. That doesn't include the FBAR. If you have an account on the FBAR, you're also going to include it on the 8938. But let's say you have 35% ownership in a company, you acquired ownership in that year, you generally will not have to file both the 5471 and the 8938 for the same asset. You may have different assets that require you file different forms, or both forms, let's say, for the different assets, but you typically don't have to duplicate the same asset on multiple forms, excluding the FBAR, which is still required. Some of the less common forms or less common assets that are reported, foreign life insurance, right? It depends on the type of insurance, but there are some types of policies where people will think, oh, there's no reason a person should have to file that, but if there's a surrender value or cash out value, depending on what underlies the foreign life insurance, there's typically a Form 8938 reporting requirement. Foreign pension, right? This is a stickler for a lot of people. Why do I have to report my foreign pension? Well, it's considered a specified foreign financial asset. So if you got a CPF in Singapore, you've got an EPF in Malaysia, you've got an EPF in India, even if you had a PPF, but that's not pension. That's more of an investment type. Superannuations in Australia, very, very popular, New Zealand. These are all reportable on Form 8938. Cryptocurrency assets. The IRS rules regarding cryptocurrency are currently in flux, but the general thought process is that it may have to be filed if it's a foreign, overseas, offshore cryptocurrency type asset. Recently, FinCEN, which doesn't handle FATCA, FinCEN handles FBAR, but there was a recent notice 2020-2, which essentially says that the goal of FinCEN is to require virtual currency, cryptocurrency type of assets to be reportable the same way foreign accounts are. So probably better to be safe than sorry, but you should discuss it with your specialist and go through the pros and cons, the specifics of the way you hold it. Do you have it in a personal wallet? Is it on exchange? Things like that. If you're out of compliance for not filing, reporting FATCA, it's important to note that the IRS has been issuing a lot more soft letters lately, which typically can lead to an audit if not handled. One of the best ways to get into compliance is Offshore Disclosure. There's various programs depending on whether you're willful, in which you have to do VDP, which is the Voluntary Disclosure Program, or if you're non-willful, and you may qualify for streamlined reasonable cause or delinquency. We have lots of free information available on our main website, We have sub-websites as well, depending on the specific nature of what you're researching. You can always reach out and schedule a reduced fee initial consultation if you think it's appropriate for the topic. Again, my name is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.